Today on Citizen of the World, we're going to cover Metallica's Blackened. And the whiskey is good. Nothing else matters. You've probably heard of Metallica's Blackened whiskey, and you might think of it as a celebrity whiskey that's just a cash grab, that there's no real quality to it. So what I'm going to try and do today is I'm going to tell you about the whiskey, give you the background, and make a case for this being what it is, which is a legitimate, good tasting whiskey. This is the 90 proof. This is an American whiskey, which is a blend of straight whiskeys, that being bourbon and rye, that's then finished in a blackberry brandy cask. This is the Rye The Lightning. This is their 90 proof rye. This is the famous Blackened by Wes Henderson. This is cask strength. Wes Henderson is of Angel's Envy fame. So after he had left Angel's Envy, he did a collaboration with Metallica and Blackened to do a white port finished version of the whiskey at cask strength. And they also did another collaboration with Willet. And this is also a cask strength. This one is at 54.8 ABV, which is what, 109.6 ABV. These are great whiskeys. I haven't popped these open yet because they actually are special bottles. They've actually become a bit collectible, so we'll open them one day here on camera. But I want to tell you a little bit about the background of the whiskey to share with you why it's important. We're going to talk about two master distillers. So the first one, Dave Pickerell, helps establish the brand, and then after he passes, then Rob Dietrich comes in and takes the brand in the same direction but expands on it. So in other words, building on the foundation done by Dave Pickerell, the original master distiller, he then takes it forward. The guys from Metallica decide they want to reach out and connect with their fan base in different ways beyond the music. And one idea that they come up with is through a whiskey, so they could connect with them wherever they may roam. Pun intended, of course. So they reach out to Dave Pickerell. And why Dave Pickerell? Well, Dave is known as the Johnny Appleseed of American whiskey. At the time, he had built a reputation based on decades of work in the whiskey industry, primarily through his association with a number of different brands. But how does Dave begin? So Dave is a chemist by training. He has a master's in thermodynamics that he got through West Point. And upon graduation, he ends up joining a small consulting company, and he gets to work with a bunch of different world spirits. At one point, he's over at Maker's Mark and he meets Mr. Samuels, and he then takes on a job at Maker's Mark and spends 14 years there helping grow it into the monster that Maker's Mark is today, where you can go to pretty much any restaurant, any bar, and their basic whiskey that they have offered, or bourbon, for their cocktails is a Maker's Mark. Well, after doing that, he gets to form his own consulting company and works with brands such as St. Augustine, Garrison Brothers, Hill Rock, Sweet Amber, as well as Willet. He's also asked to help resurrect the still of George Washington in Maryland. So this is the antique American heritage still. And as Dave is studying how to bring that about, he falls in love with ryes, and then he meets Raj Bhakta, and that's how he ends up with Whistle Pig, which becomes obviously a very famous brand. And he comes to the attention of the guys at Metallica. Now, a lot of you may have some issues with Dave and Whistle Pig, and some of you might have strong opinions about Whistle Pig, but this is how I come into the world of whiskey. I come into the world of whiskey through the Whistle Pig 15. So while Dave may remain unforgiven to you for his work with Whistle Pig, for me, the work that he had done, well, that memory remains for me and how I come into whiskey. So the guys from Metallica asked Dave to make a whiskey for them, and he's a fan of their music, but he wanted to research a little bit more about them. So obviously one of the most famous things that they're known for is this Black Album. So he likes that concept of Black Album, and as he digs a little bit deeper, he finds out that Metallica actually also owns a patent on a subwoofer that they helped develop with Myers Audio, so that in concerts that they're able to hit those really deep bass notes, not just from the bass guitar itself, but also the drums. That technology Metallica trademarked as Black Noise. So Dave is thinking about this, and he also learns that they have a song titled Blackened. So he's thinking Black Album, he's thinking Black Noise, he's thinking the song Blackened, and the thought occurs to him, well, what if he were to take some American straight rye and straight bourbon, blend them together, and finish them, because Dave is known for his finishing techniques, and finish them in blackberry brandied casks. So it seems like a perfect match. But Dave, being a chemist and understanding how the chemistry of whiskey making works, and he is a master distiller, he also has a memory of when he was back at the chapel in West Point, where when they would hit the lower notes in the pipe organ, those deep bass notes would reverberate and shake the building. So he thought, well, what if I were to put the whiskeys in those ex-blackberry brandy casks and hit them with this black noise? So being a scientist, he comes up with this model. He creates a control, puts a blend and splits it into one barrel, and then an equivalent barrel. One barrel he keeps away from, let's say, the music that he's about to subject the other barrel to. And the second barrel, he actually, for 8 weeks, he subjects it to Metallica's music, but played through this black noise subwoofer so that it shakes and agitates the barrel. And the idea behind it is he would determine whether or not there was a difference between the two barrels, and whether or not it was a good difference. In other words, did it impart real flavors to it? He tells the guys from Metallica to assemble a murder board. A murder board being a group of people who are not associated directly with the project, so that they could then taste the whiskeys and determine whether or not it was going to get a pass, or whether or not it would succeed and go forward. So they taste the whiskey, and it does taste great. And of course, it makes sense to Dave, because as a scientist, he went and he sampled the two different casks to see the comparisons. And the one that was subjected to Metallica's Black Noise for 8 weeks playing Metallica music actually had the chemical trace compounds that we love in our whiskey. So it had the vanillas and the caramels and the esters and all those other large molecules that we like in our whiskeys that give it the flavor. As I mentioned to you earlier, this Rye The Lightning has this honeyed apricot nose, very legitimate smell, in addition to the caramel, right? With a touch of let's say cinnamon, maybe some allspice. It does not have, this isn't one of those ryes that has your dill or your clove notes. That's not what this is about. So the project proceeds forward, and that's how they come up with these different brands. Now, when Dave passes, Rob Dietrich steps in. So who's Rob Dietrich? Well, Rob Dietrich learned his skills as master blender, master distiller at Stranahan's under legendary master distiller Jess Graber. That's where he apprenticed. And Rob, while there at Stranahan's, is the force behind Stranahan's Snowflake. That's that legendary annual release whiskey that that has essentially a cult following, that when they do the annual release, there are these long queues all the way up the mountain. I understand longer than 6 miles long, of people parked on the side of the road trying to get in to the distillery to get it when it's released, because it sells out so quickly. But before that, Rob, he's passionate about art and music. So Rob was heavily involved in the music business for about 10 years. So he started out as a rigger, he was a roadie, he also did event managing for venues such as like Red Rocks, or also the Fillmore. And before that, he's also a combat veteran. He was in Somalia in the 90s. So you can imagine he has a very rich and varied background, and he's passionate not only about music, but also about making good whiskey. So I think it's a natural fit for the guys at Metallica to get someone like him on board. Rob has continued the brand's identity. So the brand's identity continues to be that of blending straight bourbons and straight ryes into these American whiskey blends that he then finishes. And he finishes in a variety of casks, continuing to use this sonic enhancement of the black noise on the cask. So my point on all this is that it's a legitimate whiskey. It's a whiskey that holds up whether you drink it neat, or you drink it over a rock, or you put it in a cocktail. I actually think that the rye actually makes some very amazing Manhattans. That apricot note and the tannic nature of the rye as it is fantastic for a nice Manhattan. So I suggest you go out and try that, or try one of these. In the future, I'm going to get myself the cask strength of both of these. We'll open up these also on camera and taste them together. Absolutely stunning whiskeys. And my point in Citizen of the World is try something new. You never know if you're going to like it. So don't let something like what you believe is a gimmick, which I hope I've made a legitimate case with you that it's not, that while it might be used heavily in marketing, there's actual science behind it, and it makes a lot of sense, and it actually works. It makes a big difference on the whiskeys. Or that it's a cash grab from a celebrity group, etc. The guys from Metallica, they're legit. I mean, these guys, they're the real deal, and they like their whiskey. So they've made out a wonderful whiskey to share with us. So Joe Jimenez, Citizen of the World, get out, try something new. And if you like this video and you find this subject interesting, forward it to one of your friends, or leave me a comment down below and tell me why you think I'm straight up crazy. Anyway, cheers to Dave Pickerell, cheers to Rob Dietrich, and cheers to the guys at Metallica.